Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our monthly Grace Roots Pathways to Wellness Be Strong Talk. My name is Jay, and I'm a board member and Zoom host for our monthly Be Strong Talks. And very happy to have another special guest with us this month for June 2021. And just a quick reminder before we get started that we do have a few participants that are participating live. Just keep your lines muted until we get done telling the original story, and then we'll open it up for questions and comments towards the end of the story. And we are Grace Roots is a nonprofit, a small nonprofit organization based in Josephine County, Oregon, and we're pursuing various ways in education, advocacy, and treatment efforts to bring people together and support those in our community and anybody we come in contact with in recovery. And Be Strong, our Be Strong theme is something we've had going on for probably about a year and a half now, having regular meetings to talk and support each other in recovery. And tonight we have in our monthly Be Strong talk tonight, we have another special guest. It's my privilege. I have not heard his story yet, but I hear that he has a great story to tell us tonight. And for the first time then since we've been doing these, we also have his sponsor on the line. So Shane Wallace is going to join us and tell us his personal Be Strong story tonight, and his sponsor Paul can weigh in as needed. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this evening. And Shane, why don't you go ahead and tell us your personal Be Strong story, and go ahead and take it away. And looking forward to interacting with you guys after you tell your story.
Okay, thank you, Jay. So my name is Shane Wallace. I just want to thank you, Jay and Archie, for allowing me to do this. Like I told Jay before, I've never done this before, so if you guys could just bear with me, I'd appreciate it. First of all, so being clean and being able to do this is an honor. So thank you. Like Jay said, my name is Shane Wallace. I live in Medford, Oregon, and I've had 32 years of active addiction. I've got a little bit over 15 months clean now. And so I'll start from my childhood. I grew up in the Medford area, and I went to Scenic, and I went to Crater High School. And when I was younger, life was good. I smiled a lot. I played baseball. I loved to play baseball. Everything was good until my mom, when I was 9 years old, her and my dad got a divorce. And after that, I don't really remember being happy. She remarried, and the guy she remarried, just me and him never clicked. He was abusive emotionally and physically. And every day after school, I didn't know if I'd have to come home and get in an altercation with him. I used to sneak out of the house at night so I wouldn't have to deal with him in the morning. And because of all that, it gave me a attitude against older people, against anybody that tried telling me what to do. So it made me rebel a lot. And I got in fights when I was younger because of that, and I got in fights with teachers at school. I was in PE one time, and my PE teacher came up and grabbed me by the back of my hair and threw me down on the ground and wanted to basically bully me. And a lot of it had to do with my attitude, but still, that's not right for a PE teacher to do that. So just older people when I was younger, just really, I didn't click with them. And So as I started getting older, like I said, I took up baseball, and I took up some martial arts and stuff, and I really enjoyed both of them. I excelled at both of them. But as far as baseball, my coaches would tell me that I could get a college scholarship, and what that did was made me be cocky, made me think that I could go do drugs for a while, and I'll always have baseball. And before I knew it, like 10 years had passed, and I, my baseball dream was shattered. But I get to live my dream through my nephew. My nephew pitches for the Medford Rogues. I think he's 22 years old. He throws 89, 90 miles an hour accurately. And so that's a pretty cool thing for me to be able to do, is live my dream through baseball, through him. When I was like 13 to 18, I had some good friends. I had 3 or 4 really good friends, but due to drugs, they've all passed. And so I was a loner a lot of my life, and I just continued to do drugs, and it graduated to using the needle, and I would get so high and so skinny, and along the way I always stuck up for myself. So when I started getting skinny, I felt I had to carry protection with me all the time. So I would have brass knuckles on me, or a golf club on me when I would go out using, and because I always thought that everybody was going to try to fight me, or because when you stand up for yourself, you're always going to have enemies. And so when I started getting 165 pounds at 6'3", I didn't really feel like I could protect myself if need be. So I would just carry that stuff around town. And I remember I was seeing this girl out in Sam's Valley. Sam's Valley is about 15 miles from Medford, and I didn't have a car, nothing like that. And so I remember walking with that golf club out to Sam's Valley. And this was way back when it was snowing real bad in Medford. So there was like a foot of snow on the ground, and I'd go out there, walk all the way out there just to end up getting in a fight with her and leaving 5 minutes later, and carrying that stupid golf club with me, and swore to God that the telephone, the power poles, swore to God that the lines were talking to me. That's how far out there I would get. And I would stay up for days upon days, and time would just go by. There was times where I didn't see any of my family for over a year. Christmas would come by, birthdays, everything, and I'd pop back in, and with a little bit of clean time, and they'd be happy, and then I'd bounce back out for another year and start coming around again. And doing that for years. Pretty soon they started showing me some tough love. Like it didn't matter if I had 50 days clean. They were used to me having time and then just going back out. So and I don't blame them for showing me that tough love. But when I would come around, it would and leave, it would just hurt them. So they kind of had to put their walls up, and I don't blame them for that. And so I remember I went up to Sam's Valley one time. I rode a mountain bike out there. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I got out there, and this girl I was seeing, her mom didn't like me. So when I got out there, I kind of had to sneak around. And my girlfriend had an apartment on her mom's property out there. Her mom was a user too. And one night I went out there, I put my mountain bike in the ditch and I went to go sneak into my girlfriend's apartment. The cell phone I was carrying, the battery was about dead. And her mom happened to be outside, sitting on the porch. And when that phone ran out of battery, it made a beep. So she seen me and immediately started screaming and called 911, made up this story that I was out there with a baseball bat trying to kill her and trying to beat people up out there. So next thing I know, when she called 911, I just got on my mountain bike and my girlfriend told me that she wanted to go with me. So long story short, I took off and next thing I know, Sam's Valley is an area where you can see Medford for miles. So next thing I know, I see like 6 cop cars coming with their lights and sirens on, and I took off with her, and we hid. I was able to hide and not get caught. But the next day, when it was daylight, we came out. We just started walking down the road because in my mind I didn't do nothing, and all of a sudden got down to the store and I got swarmed by some cops, and I got taken to jail. And I went into jail with just 3 misdemeanor charges, and I wasn't gonna roll over and just accept these charges. So I decided to fight them. And on my 58th day of being in jail, they put kidnapping on me, attempted assault 2, 18 years of charges on me, and I didn't know what to do. And so long story short, I sat in jail and I wanted to fight it, and they came at me with a 2-year plea bargain that if I admit that I admit to what they saying I did, that I could take this 2 years and go to prison. And at first, if I told them what I thought of them, and I said, no, I'm not going to take that deal because I didn't do nothing. And I remember going back to my cell, and I opened up my Bible, and I started reading this paragraph. I can't clearly remember it, but it said something about taking the offer from the town committee or something like that. And so in my head, I was like, okay, well, I better take this offer. I was weighing 2 years against 18 years. And with my criminal past, I just didn't want to fight it. So I ended up taking the 2-year plea bargain, and I go to prison, and I'm there for about a year. And my dad started getting real sick with cancer. And I remember I talked to him one time, and I'm like, Dad, are you dying? And he's like, no, son, I'm not dying. I'm not dying. And so a couple more weeks passed, and all of a sudden I get this call to go to the chapel. So I'm like, oh man, I was thinking my dad died, but so I start crying, and I'm on my way to the chapel, and when I walk in there, the pastor said, hey, your dad's on the phone and he'd like to talk to you. And so I was able to talk to my dad, and the last thing he said to me was, keep your chin up, son. I love you. So a couple of weeks after that, about 3 o'clock in the morning, they're telling me to roll up, that I'm being transported to Salem so I can be closer to my dad, because he's dying. So I get to Salem, and the head prison lady told me that anytime I wanted to come to her office, that I could come to her office and call my dad, that it was an open door policy. So the first time I went there, she told me, hey, I'm really busy, you know, can you come back and try again tomorrow? So I went back and I did that for a couple of days, and she kept slow playing me. And so finally, one day I heard my name over the intercom to go to the control tower. So I'm being buzzed out of all these doors, and next thing I know, I'm like one door from being buzzed out of prison, and I'm in this room, and the glass, there's glass all around me, and it's all black. Now I remember I went up to the glass and I kind of looked through the glass, and I seen my two sisters in there crying, and I knew that I knew they were there to tell me that my dad died. And being in prison, I had to mourn my dad at nighttime underneath the sheets. That's when I cried, and it was 90 days before I got out. I lost him, so that made a big impact on me. And so when I told myself when I got out, I want to be clean. I want to change my life, you know. And when I got out, you know, I did what a lot of people do. First day I got out, I got high, and I was on the run again from my PO, and it went on for another couple years, and finally, you know, I got to the point where, you know, every time I get high, I was crying. Every time I put a needle in my arm, I was crying, you know, because I didn't want to be getting high, but I was just addicted. So I volunteered for the Medford Drug Court, and I wasn't trying to get out at any time. I wasn't facing any time. I wanted to quit doing dope. But so the drug court's a 18-month program, and it took me 5 years, but I graduated. And but I graduated for the wrong reasons. I graduated because I didn't want a drug charge on my record. And the same night I got my diploma, I got high, and you know, went on using for 10 more years. And finally I decided to turn my life over to Jesus Christ. And that's around the same time I met Paul. And you know, Paul was my counselor. I would go to class to him, you know, and I'd go there high, and Paul was the only person to ever be able to get to me because of his approach. You know, he asked me, you know, are you ever going to be able to quit using? And I'm like, I don't know, Paul. But he always had impeccable timing. Every time I went to go get high, my phone would ring and it'd be Paul. Or right after I got high, I'd go to a grocery store and I'd run into Paul. And you know, he just really he always, you know, he would ask me, you know, in group, Shane, are you gonna be here Monday? And I told him, yeah, Paul, but over the weekend I'm gonna do as much dope as I can because I want to quit, but I want that one last time, that one last high. That one last high haunted me for years. I always wanted that one last shot. And anyways, I kept coming back, and finally, you know, my family loved me through all of it until I could love myself again. And that's what really 15 months ago I decided, you know, that I want a better life. You know, my family deserves their brother, their uncle, their son. They deserve that. You know, they've always loved me through all this. I'm the black sheep of the family. Thank God, none of my family members, thank God my sisters were never, you know, used around town and did drugs. And thank God my mom, you know, I'm just so thankful of that. And I've been working now. I do construction, and I also work at the Grants Pass Downs. I've had a job over a year now, and things are good. Things are really good. The best it's ever been. My family accepts me back. There's still a few family members that understandably aren't ready to let me back in yet, and that's my fault, but one day, if I keep doing what I'm doing, one day I can be reunited with them, which I want. And so I've been working. I was able to, one of my dreams was to have a Harley Davidson. I was finally able to get my Harley Davidson. I've had it for about a month now, and it's pretty cool to be able to ride that, and it's pretty cool to be able to achieve my dreams, and so that's really basically all I got. I mean, so thank you for allowing me to do this, and I hope I made a little bit of sense.
Yeah, Shane, thank you so much for sharing your story. I would I have a handful of questions for you, but before we get to that, can I ask, can I put Paul on the spot for a moment? And Paul,
Yeah.
Paul, would you like to make a few comments before we get into the question and answer session?
Sure. I'd love to. Thank you for asking me. It's just been a pleasure and a privilege to work with Shane. I didn't know when he was going to get clean, but I knew he was. I just had this feeling, and I worked with a lot of guys at the ARC, a lot of men. And, I always had hope for all of them. Some of them make it and some of them don't, but I never lost that hope because I know that there's a divine power in my life and in Shane's life. And that's the only reason I'm here today. The only reason I'm clean today is the grace of God. I mean, that's it. I mean, for years, I done nothing but try to kill myself. And so I believe that God has a plan for me, and he put me into Shane's life. And today Shane's not only one of my sponsees, but he's probably my closest friend. Yeah, I value his friendship and I respect him. I got to see Shane go through the process of addiction, and I could, and I think we can all relate to that misery and that hopelessness and that desperation, because we get to a point with our addiction and we cross that invisible line to where it doesn't work for us anymore. And then we just get loaded out of the habit and the addictive part of it. But I just feel blessed to have Shane in my life, and I feel blessed to be here tonight. Jay, thank you for allowing me to sit in and share a little bit. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, guys. So while we're on the topic, either or both of you can weigh in here on the first question. Certainly, I've seen a lot of our monthly Be Strong guests as they tell their story. They maybe not all, but very many of them talk about that moment where they higher power rescued them. And it sounds, Shane, from what you've said, and Paul, from what you've said, it sounds like that was one of your key recovery moments as well. Shane, can you talk a little bit about how that happened, maybe how long you've been in recovery, successfully in recovery, and just kind of what keeps you going, other than your fantastic relationship with Paul? What keeps you going and keeps you in recovery and strong on a daily basis today?
What keeps me going is a smile on my mom's face. That has a lot to do with it. the smile on my sister's faces. Like, I'm just, you know, and as far as, okay, so I'll go with the religious part about it. So my pastor, I've known for many years, and he's been chasing me for a long time. I mean, I've always believed in God, but I lost track of him because of me, you know, because I was too busy doing dope. But you know, I would see my pastor, and he'd be in tears, and he'd want to pray for me. He'd get out at red lights, hold up traffic, and he'd pray for me, you know, and cry and stuff like that. And it just I just got tired of, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got sick and tired of hurting the people that loved me. And I wanted to be a better example to my son, and I want to reunite with my daughter again one day. I haven't seen my daughter for about 10 years. And that day when I get to be able to meet her again, I want to be, and I will be, level-headed and be the dad that she deserves to have. And but what keeps me going, like I said, is just feeling better about myself, and being reunited with my family again, and just not living that hell no more. You know, I got tired of living that hell. You know, I still have a couple reminders of it, like, you know, my teeth. I'd like to get my teeth fixed one day. I got the Oregon Health Plan, but I also suffered a broken jaw playing softball. I got smacked with the ball, and so it kind of messed up my bite. So it's going to be a little bit more than the Oregon Health Plan to be able to fix that. But one day I intend to fix my teeth. And you know, I also have a broken needle in my arm still. Luckily, it didn't go into my vein, but it's underneath my skin. And I went to the doctor to have that removed, but they told me that unless it hurts, to just leave it alone, because it's a real pain to get out. But you know, that's another reminder. So I'm just glad I'm clean. I'm glad I'm still alive. Like I said, my friends are all dead, and by the grace of God, I'm still living when I should be dead. Because, you know, when I would use, like I said, I stayed up for days. I would fall asleep at red lights. I would fall asleep driving down the freeway and end up in the middle in the grass with my foot on the brake. I don't know how, but I've done that a few times. And I'd go up to the drive up Burger King and fall asleep in the drive up, because I would never, you know, I never slept. I just stayed up all the time. So I'm lucky to be here today, and I'm glad that I finally got it. I mean, I know I don't have it, but I know that I got it for the rest of today. And all I got to worry about is tomorrow. I don't got to worry about yesterday, tomorrow. I just got to worry about today. I know I can stay clean the rest of today. That's
That statement is very, very biblical as well. Don't worry about tomorrow. Focus on me today. And sorry, I keep hitting on that, but that you know, I've noticed that that's a key theme in recovery. And so I'm certainly glad to hear that you're there. And by the way, well, we can talk about this offline, but I know a guy in Grants Pass that has been doing teeth for a long time. And when you're ready, you reach out to me, and we'll see if we can hook you up with a deal there. But tell us about that Harley. I seem to think that there's a good story behind that.
so it's a 2018 Street Glide. It's a touring bike, so it's pretty nice. you know, I've saved for a couple years for it, and you know, I I got a little, I got a little bit of help from some people that love me, and you know, I'm paying, you know, I'm doing what I said I would do, and I'm making the payments back, but I was able to just go in there with enough cash to pay it off, so I could not have, you know, not okay, so my credit sucked. so I was able to save enough money to go in there and just pay it off, and pay back the couple people that helped me do it, and they did it because they see me to have almost 16 months clean is huge, and you know, I know you guys have heard this before, but I'm here to tell you that if I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it, because I wasn't no slouch, that's for sure.
Well, that's amazing. So, Shane or Paul or both, anything else that you would like to say about on a daily basis? What else keeps you going and keeps you strong on a daily basis in recovery?
Um, meetings. Meetings might seem like they're boring. I used to use meetings for an excuse to go get high, but you got to go to meetings. You got to go to as many meetings as you can, and you got to love to go to meetings, and you got to get a sponsor, and you got to do like I enrolled in the H&I committee, and H&I is hospitals and institutions, where you can go into hospitals and talk to other addicts, or you can go into jails and prisons. And so that would be my advice. My advice is just to make sure you hit as many meetings as you can. That's what helps me. Stay in contact with your sponsor every day, and don't pick up. Got something to say, Paul?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that you're also working the 12 steps, which is critical.
Oh yeah, I'm on my good call, Paul. I'm actually, yeah, you got to work the steps too. I'm on my 4th step right now. It's one of the harder ones for me, but it's one of the most important ones. So I'm taking my time with that. But yeah, definitely you got to work your steps.
Yeah, and you know what I've noticed with Shane is he's dedicated. He attends church regular. He attends Bible study. We attend a couple of the same meetings every week. You know, he just consistent. He was consistent with his using, and he's consistent with his recovery. You know, I pretty much know where Shane is pretty much every day of the week. I know where to find him because he does the same thing every week. You know, he goes to the same meetings, he goes to church, he goes to Bible study, you know, and it's not so much what we think that keeps us clean, it's what we do. You know, it's that action that we take, and he's just been amazing. I mean, once he turned things around, uh, he embraced recovery the same way he embraced his drug use, you know, and that's it. All of us, all we have is today, you know, but it takes some work. Uh, and what I've noticed with addicts sometimes is we're not willing to do the work that it takes to stay clean, you know, and then that leads us back to active addiction. But yeah, I can't say enough about Shane's consistency and in his relationship with God. You know, he's got an amazing relationship with God, and like I said, that's a big part of my program. You know, is my trust in God and my gratitude for the things that He's given me, and you know, just keeping me alive. Because I just turned 65, and I mean, it's it's unbelievable that I'm still alive. You know, because I had years and years of drug addiction and high risk lifestyle and behavior, and you know, and like and Shane said, you know, get hooked up with with a sponsor and hang out with people that are clean. You know, it's a proven it's a proven program. You know, many people have done it before us, and there's going to be a lot that do it after us. But we're involved in Narcotics Anonymous, and we're active in it. We're active in the program. We're active in our own recovery, and that's what it takes for me. Because if I don't stay active and if I don't stay focused, I seem to veer off the road, which takes me back to drug use. And I don't think it matters how old I get. You know, it seems like age should tie in with the wisdom somewhere, but when it comes to drugs, I just don't have that power within myself to resist that. And so yeah, I'm really proud of Shane. He does an amazing job.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again, fellas. I haven't seen too many people pop up and want to ask any questions yet, but I would like to offer that opportunity if anybody's out there and wants to say a word this evening before we wrap up. Feel free to unmute yourself and fire away. Okay. Well, guys, I'll be in touch. And if you guys want a couple of shirts like the one I'm wearing to remember this moment and telling your story, I'll send you a couple of shirts. These shirts are also available at our Grace Roots website, which is just grace-roots.org. And you can buy one of these shirts and support our recovery efforts. They're $20 each, and we'll ship them anywhere somebody sees this video. So Shane, Paul, thank you so much for your time this evening. Our time is one of our valuable resources, and we thank you for sharing your story and wish you the best in ongoing recovery, and stay in touch with us.
I will.
And you've got my email, but we'll continue doing these on the as far as I know, on the second Thursday of each month. We may get back to doing these live at some point, but stay in touch with us. One of the best ways to do that is on our Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and look up Grace Roots Pathways to Wellness. You'll see our Facebook page, and
Okay.
we keep everybody informed on our monthly Be Strong talks. So thank you again so much for joining us, and I'll be in touch over email. And God bless, and thank you for sharing your story, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Okay. Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
You too.